C1. You are listening at FameTV.info. My name is Lin Zien, an 18-year-old country girl. In fact, there aren't many girls of my age who haven't married in our village. Even though I was seen as a leftover girl by others, my grandmother wasn't anxious at all. Every time someone came to propose marriage, she would fiercely chase them away. As time went on, there were rumors about me in the village. I don't understand my grandmother's way of doing things, but I don't want to be like my friends, early to serve my husband and children, so I never asked my grandmother why. Grandma was a famous goddess in the village. Whichever family's child had a fever would come to their grandmother for treatment. Grandma told me that there were some things I should take good care of and never offend. Usually, we rely on our grandmother to be a godmother to be born, and then we sell protective amulets and the like. He also sold paper, money, candles and other sacrificial items. One day, my grandmother went to see another child. I was rummaging through the phone in the shop, bored to death, playing a little game. At that moment, a man who looked to be in his 40s or 50s walked over. I hastily stood up and greeted him politely. "Hello, may I ask what you need?" However, this man acted as if I was nothing but air, completely ignoring my existence. He directly strode in and looked around the shop. I had to ask again, "What do you want to buy?" "I'll get it for you." At this moment, he turned his head around. When we met eyes, I felt a trace of hostility. His gaze was ice-cold, causing my scalp to go numb. I quickly shifted my gaze away. The atmosphere in the room was awkward, and for a moment I didn't know if I should continue to entertain him. Just as I was hesitating, he suddenly turned around and walked towards me, holding out his hand as he did so. It scared the shit out of me. Our shop is so remote that if he's plotting against me, even if I scream my head off, no one will hear me. He's getting closer and closer to me, so nervous that my heart is about to jump out of my throat. "Hey, what do you want?" "Let me tell you, my family will be back soon." Ha ha ha. He grinned, which made me feel creepy. At this moment, I heard familiar footsteps behind me. It was grandmother. I hurried to her side, took her arm, and looked at her pleadingly. Gran patted my hand, smiled at me, then said, "It's okay." She pushed my hand away, then walked over to the man, bowed to him, and called out, "Uncle Chen." So grandma knew this weird man and even called him uncle. It seemed that this man really did have quite a bit of background. The man merely nodded to grandma and continued to look at my face. "We'll talk to Zien later. Uncle Chen, let's go inside the house to talk." Gran said. Then the two of them went to the backyard, and I was left alone in the store, completely lost in the thought of what was going to happen next. After a long while, they came out. Grandmother's eyes were red as if she had just cried, but that man still had that gloomy expression on his face. "Zien, hurry back to your room and pack up. Come with your grandpa Chen." Before I could ask, grandma told me. "What? Grandmother, what did you just say? I guess I heard wrong." "Zien, you're 20 years old. It's time to get married. Go, go." Grandma shook her head and sighed. Hearing grandmother's words, I was dumbfounded. "Marry someone? Grandmother, I don't want to get married. I still have to be filial to you. Besides, you already said it. I have to call him grandpa. How can you let me marry him? I implore you." Grandmother. When the man saw me crying, he frowned and said coldly, "If you don't listen to me obediently, your grandmother will be in trouble." I looked at him, then at grandma, who seemed determined. She is my God, and I cannot harm her because of my willfulness. Thus, I silently walked back to my room, packed some simple luggage, and followed the man out. Before we left, my grandmother walked me to the door. There were 2 streams of tears on her cheeks. I suddenly couldn't bear to leave, but the moment I stopped walking, I was stopped by that man. "Let's go, young master doesn't like waiting for others." "No," he said, "young master." "Who is this young master?" "Zien, after you and young master get married, you'll be young master's wife." You have to be sensible, okay? Gran told me behind my back that I then realized that my grandmother didn't want me to marry this so-called Grandpa Chen. But so what if he was a young master? Could he forcefully marry a commoner? Alright, Grandma, I understand. I will come back to see you whenever I have time. Don't worry about me. The one surnamed Chen pulled me quickly, not even leaving me time to turn around. I could only walk while responding to Grandma. Very quickly, I was stuffed into a car by the surnamed Chen and drove away in a cloud of dust. Grandmother, the place where I lived for 20 years is gradually becoming blurred into a small black dot. The atmosphere inside the car was very cold. The man with the surname Chen had a dark expression as he drove seriously. After hesitating for a long time, I finally opened my mouth to ask the question that I wanted to ask the most. Grandpa Chen, when can I go home and reunite with grandmother? Firstly, I do not know about your problem. Everything will be decided by young master. Second, don't call me Grandpa Chen, just call me Uncle Chen. I'm not that old yet. After saying these 2 sentences, he fell into silence again. Seeing him act this way, I didn't dare to say anything else. I just sat in the car anxiously. Even if this person surnamed Chen wasn't the main character, he was already that terrifying. The young master that he spoke of must be a devil, right? That I in the evening, the car stopped in a large garden. It seemed to be the villa of a large family. Get out. No, he said. Yes. As I said that, I went to grab my bag, but he snatched it away first. You will be the young madam from now on. I will take good care of you, you don't need to do anything. His tone was completely different from before. It seemed to be the respectful tone of a subordinate towards his superior. That I was stunned by his sudden transformation. Then, he said, don't think too much about it. Now that young master is not at home, I'll find a room for you to settle down. Everything will be discussed when young master returns. Hearing this, I heaved a sigh of relief. That young master isn't home, it suits me. But how many days could I hide? When he comes back, I still have to face what I don't want to face. Uncle Chen took me upstairs to a lavishly decorated bedroom and told me to stay here for the time being. Then I left, told me to take a good rest, and went down to dinner. Listen to the full novel at famvetv.info, direct link in the description.